out of the community. I mean, out of the nursing home. Whether it's intellectual or physical or whatever, you need a provider who has knowledge about that disability. And there are certain states that have molded programs around the disabilities to make things work. And right now, like with the people transitioning or to be transitioned out of Central, it's like there needs to be more providers that know how to deal with them specifically. But at the other side of it, they're wanting to fight, oh, wait a minute, if we lose all these people, all of the community will go without jobs. There will be unemployment and everything. And it's like, well, why don't you just let them go to be in private duty, Open the damn door and let them free, And that's where, like with my project, I'm doing my project about MFP. And, it's like, I don't know, it's just, I'm in control, but it's like when Kathy Snow was here, what I took from it, she was challenging us to define what disability meant to us. And while she was speaking, and I went off into La La Land, and trying to think about this stuff, it's like I learned that I lost my paralysis. I'm no longer paralyzed. Now I am reliable attendant disabled. Without a reliable attendant, I can't live a normal life.
Right.
And that is my disability now. It's like with the agency that I have, it's like every so many days I get a phone call that this person's not going to be there. They're trying to find somebody. You're going to have to call your backup and all this other stuff. And that's the only obstacle. Other than that, it's like I'm free to go in and out the door as will, And it's like I'm looking forward to the summer so I can go down to the beach and take in the life that I'm used to living and stuff. And it's like, even like when you're in a nursing home, you only get $40 a month. In the community, I got all of my check. It's like I'm free to buy what I want. I don't waste money. I'm not trying to take advantage of it. But it's like, even like with parents that have children with the developmental disabilities and they're afraid of getting them into the community. Well, if you get them in the community, the way I look at it, you're going to be the guardian, so that you'd have the right to decide that you can spend a little bit extra towards that attendant care. So I'm thinking that there's a win-win at the end of the tunnel, but you got to be able to see through the tunnel that there's light at the end. And if you got the barrier, the roadblock, then that's the obstacle.
So what would you say is the coolest thing or the strongest thing that is different by having your own freedom than your life for those 14 months? What's the thing that excites you or gives you the most pause to celebrate?
Well, that would make me sound egotistical, but it's to have my control back.
That's not egotistical, that's human. I mean, I'm sorry I'm interrupting, I'm supposed to be the interviewer, not telling you.
Very Oprah.
But I mean, how many of us, that's not egotistical.
I mean, it's like, with my disability, I had to learn how to have things where I needed them, whenever I needed them, because if they weren't there, then I would be out of luck. And it's like, that's one of the biggest obstacles for my attendants to understand. No, I'm not trying to make life difficult for you by saying, I want 5 catheters and 3 urinals and a tube of lubricant right here on this table for when you leave. No, I'm not trying to be in control, but I'm trying to have a way of urinating when you're not here. I want 3 containers of water. I want the handle on the left side and the straw on the front, not in the back, so I ain't got to spill the water on myself. But I had one nurse tell me, I think you disabled people have nothing better to do than sit around and think about things on how you can make my life more difficult.
Wow.
And I'm like, are you for real?
You say you're not coming back tomorrow?
Well, not that night.
Yeah, you gotta get into bed enough and stuff, right?
You're pretty good.
Yeah, get around.
The last girl that I put out the door, I worked with her during Christmas. And my Christmas Eve, my Christmas Day was a challenge, and I was not gonna let her steal the spirit from me. But then, I don't know, about a week and a half later, we had a little rough roads in between and everything, and she comes in one morning and she's just making all kinds of chaos. And I'm trying to ask her, would you please bring the noise down? What, I'm not allowed to sing? I don't have a problem with it. You can sing all you want. I'm trying to listen to TV. I already turned it up, you know. I'm just asking you to bring it down. But then it's like, oh, you know what? I bet you used to beat girls before you had your accident. You want to be in control of girls all the time. And I'm like, wow. And I said, Lord, please, Lord, I'm begging you to take control of my tongue. I got to get out of bed today. I got to get out of bed. And I'm just trying to stay, and I'm trying to get away from that. A little bit later, she's like, you know, you really ought to watch what you're saying, because she knew I was leaving that company and going to another. Just because you're going to another company, don't mean that somebody won't come in here and lose it and just hit you and all this other stuff. And I'm like, wow, now we're over here to me being physically abused and stuff. And then once again, she returns back to this stuff about me controlling people and beating women and stuff. And by this time, I'm in the chair, and it's like, you know, it's been a long day. You can leave now. And it was like 2 hours and 10 minutes left on her clock to be with me. And she's like, what? And I'm like, you can leave now. You're telling me to leave? I'm like, yeah. And I opened the door. And I said, you can go now. And she's like, I got to call the office. And Mr. Matuzak's saying that he wants me to leave now. And all this other stuff. And I don't know what it's about and all this other stuff. But it was like, I told the company at Christmas time, I have been demeaned to the last straw, and nobody else is going to come in my home and disrespect me no more. And if they did, we were going to have problems. And after she left, I called the company up. I told them what took place, and I said, and I'm begging you to find me somebody to get me through the rest of the week. If not, I will stay in bed until Saturday comes. You know, I'll make ends meet. I'll get my family to come and feed me. But I'm begging you, just give me somebody, get me through, so I don't have to do that, because that steals my independence. You know, they want you to have a backup plan, but when your family has been your backup plan for 28 years, it's like, that ain't a backup. You know, that's a, what do you need now?
Have you tried it on your own to hire people without an agency?
I did, and that made me have to stay in bed for 3 weeks, because the person that I hired was referred to me by my nephew. It was his future mother-in-law, and she and I didn't have the same focus on what my goals were. And I told her that I was going to have to start looking for somebody else, and instead of her fulfilling her 2-week obligation, she told me to go to hell, and ended it there. And I had to stay in bed for 3 weeks, because it's not as easy as calling your case manager and saying, my consumer directive failed, I need to go back to personal care, and just get it started. No. Well, first of all, we had to get you a company. Then I have to call Medicaid. Medicaid has to approve it after they go across the I's and T's. But whenever they find that I and T is not done, they're going to send the paperwork back to me. But once I get it fixed, I get to send it back to them. Keeper has to review it. When Keeper reviews it, they can take about, I don't know, anywhere from 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I can't give you an answer how long that's going to be, Rob. Well, when do you want the date to end? When do you want the date to start? And it's like, how the hell can I make this answer?
Right.
You make the answer for me if you know all these answers, because you're already telling me how long it's going to take. But I ended up having to stay in bed, be in bed bound for 3 weeks due to that, and wait for Keypro to give the approval for this other company to start, which I went back to the company that I left before I went to the consumer directive.
So Can we ask the group, what could have prevented him from